Next, I will not take much of your time because you know who the next guy is. He has a show on 1110 KFAB. Probably amongst the most informed people I've ever met. Every time you run into him, he's trying to learn something about some policy that's going on. And it's all for a radio show, the Tom Becka Show. If you don't know who he is, welcome to Omaha. Here's Tom Becka. All right.
Thank you. How you doing? Surviving the heat? I know you've been hearing a lot of stuff today about politics and government and all of that, and we'll get to some of that maybe a little bit later on, but I want to start off today talking to you a little bit about buying a car. Have any of you ever bought a car before? Yeah. Well, in this economy, no, not lately, no. But when you go to buy a car, if you've got a car salesman, let's say you're looking at Toyotas, but you're also thinking about buying Chevys. If you go to that car salesman and all he does is badmouth Chevys, what does it make you think about his car? Maybe not all that great. I'm here to look at Toyotas. Quit talking to me about how bad Chevys are. What are you trying to hide? Now I'm focusing on Chevys. Indeed, I might even have sort of a sympathetic touch, feelings towards Chevys now because they're getting badmouthed all the time. And I certainly don't trust this guy because he's not selling me on his car. He's badmouthing the competition. I think that we've gotten to a point in our politics today we're almost getting the same way. I think that we've gotten to a point in America where all we're doing now is just bad-mouthing the Democrats, bad-mouthing the politicians, bad-mouthing them all. And look, I'll tell you right now, I would not be surprised. I checked my email about an hour ago. I would not be surprised if I got on my phone right now, checked my email, and I had 2 or 3 emails from people angry about Barack Obama being born in Kenya. Okay? That horse has left the barn. Nobody cares about that. We've got real issues to deal with now, and we're not selling them the way that we should be selling them. I got an email the other day from a guy who listens to my show. By the way, for those that don't know, I do a talk radio program, which basically I sit on my ass and bitch, and they pay me for it, which, my mom used to do it for free. So it's nice that I got this job, and I got an email from a guy the other day, and he starts up saying, Tom, I'm a liberal, I'm a Democrat, but I listen to talk radio, I like your station, I like you, and I find myself time and time again agreeing with about 60 to 70% of what a lot of you guys are saying. But you say it in such a way, I don't want to be associated with you. I know how he feels. I feel the same way. I listen to my station sometimes, and I'm not talking outside of school because I have these meetings with Gary and others, and then I'd say the same thing. I listen to some of the stuff that Glenn Beck is saying. I listen to some of the same stuff that Michael Savage is saying, and I don't want to be a part of that. Only because it's based in fear, it's based on the other guy is the bad guy. To my way of thinking, and I don't have a lot of good things to say about Barack Obama's presidency. But what Barack Obama is, he is an American. He is our president, and we got to work under him. Now, wait a second. Hold on. You see, that's the point, though. That's the point. We've got to change people's minds, change the idea so that more people feel like we've got the right ideas. Because the fact of the matter is, very few people are voting these days because they're tired of the far left and the far right, and they're tired of the name calling, and they're tired of all the other crap. We've got some great ideas. Smaller government, less government is a great idea. Sell the ideas the way that the car salesman is selling you on the benefits of that car. Sell the ideas of less government. Sell the ideas of freedom. Sell the ideas of liberty. Right now, I honestly believe that we're in a very good time right now. I know, what do you mean, Tom, a good time? I think we're in a great opportunity right now because Standard & Poor's just lowered our rating. We know about the debt ceiling. We know about how our nation is just swimming in debt. I look at this as an opportunity. The way that an alcoholic wakes up in a jail cell with his third DUI and then realizes, you know, maybe it's time I change my ways. Right now, it's at bottom, but the bottom can be a good thing if we make this the bottom and sell the ideas, get things to change, get people motivated to vote for people again instead of just voting against people, vote for the ideas, and then make our representatives hold to those ideas, hold to those principles. And you got to do that by selling these ideas in a smart, rational way. If you're talking to liberals, first of all, you don't want to be pushing it right in their face all the time, because people, quite honestly, if they're talking politics, they don't want to be talking politics all the time. But we're just having conversations with people. Bring up the idea of limited government. Talk about how the big government isn't working. We've got evidence of that time and time and time and time again. Look at what has happened here. And it happened under Bush too. I love this. When President Bush was spending all this money, prescription drug care plans and over budget and all this stuff, when he was spending all this money, I was criticizing that too. And I was getting emails and nasty phone calls from people saying, "You're a liberal." I'm a liberal because I'm criticizing George Bush. Now that I'm criticizing Barack Obama for doing the same thing in spades, I'm getting email and phone calls from the same guys saying, "Well, it's about time you saw the light." I'm saying the same thing, only I was saying it against their guy, so you're a bad guy. We got to get away from the I'm a Republican, I'm a Democrat, I'm a Libertarian. We're all Americans. Let's sell the idea here of how we can make America work, and I believe we make America work with limited government. I believe we make America work with personal responsibility. I believe we make America work by letting me succeed and letting me fail. Thank you. One guy. All right, I got you. We'll get them one by one. And that's it. And that's how you get it. One by one. You make a point, you make it, sell the idea, and then that person sells that idea to somebody else. Look, we're not going to, we live in an instant world. We live in an instant world where everybody has it their way. Anymore, it used to be, if you wanted to watch Dave Letterman, you had to be home at 10:30 at night. Or awake at 10:30 at night when you're going to be my age. Nowadays, I got DVR. I can watch Letterman anytime I want, when I want, without seeing commercials. It used to be that, you wanted, if you wanted to write a letter, you had to wait 3 days for them to get it. Now they get it instantaneously. We live in this world where we think everything we get it our way and we get it now. It doesn't work that way in government. It doesn't work that way in politics. This problem that we're in right now, this problem that we're dealing with right now, it took us a long time to get here. We're not going to change it with one debt ceiling bill. We're not going to change it with one election. It'll change by selling the ideas that made America great. It'll change by selling the concept to people so that they are proud of being an American. I mean, I love this. I've gotten into a conversation or two with Ben Gray and some leaders in North Omaha. And they're saying, we've got all these problems in North Omaha because we have no jobs in North Omaha. And that sounds good. That sounds like a great excuse. Then I'll ask Ben, I'll say, Ben, we've got illegal immigrants who are coming across the river, getting up into Nebraska for a job. They're traveling thousands of miles for work. How come they can't get from 24th and Lake to 168th and Q? Okay, it's a valid question. It's a valid question. He has no answer for that. Then they throw out oh, you asked that question, you must be racist. I'm not racist at all. Not in the least. It's a valid question. Go to where the work is. Sell the American dream. I mentioned immigration. I believe, I saw some expert on cable TV, and of course that's all they have on cable TV now, right, are experts. But this guy was on there, and he was talking about how he believes to save America, we've got to loosen up our immigration laws. And he's not talking about bringing in illegal immigrants necessarily for roofing work. He's talking about bringing in immigrants who can do high-tech computer jobs, doctors who are, scientists, people like that can do the high-tech, high-paying jobs that companies like Microsoft are dying for, and they can't get the workers into the country. Because you know what? Say what you will about the illegal immigrants, or say what you will about people that come over here from other countries to work in America. They still believe in the American dream. Too many Americans have given up on it. Okay, and so what they do is they become angry, it becomes name-calling, it becomes a thing where, oh, you're a liberal, I can't trust you. Or, oh, you're a Tea Partier, you're crazy. And the reality is, we're all Americans. And you know what? You can't trust some Americans, and some Americans are crazy. But it's always been that way. And we've survived it. We've thrived, and we'll continue to thrive if we continue selling the principles, the basic concepts of smaller government, liberty, respect for others, and the ability to succeed in this great country. I think if there's one thing that I'm trying to get across now, and I'll admit, my industry and in times myself, I know that I don't always practice what I'm preaching here. I'm trying, but I don't always practice what I'm preaching. The message I'd like to send out here today is to tone it down and step it up. Okay? In other words, because the moment that the rhetoric gets to a point where you're in there and you're just starting the name calling, the vitriol, you've lost the argument. Okay, for instance, Sarah Palin's out of booth here. Now, I'm not the biggest Sarah Palin fan personally of all the candidates out there. But boy, some people really dislike Sarah Palin. But they hate the personality. If you're a Sarah Palin supporter and somebody starts really bashing Sarah Palin, instead of just getting into a fight over it, ask them a few probing questions. Why do you hate her so? What don't you like about her? Get them to open up a little bit. My guess is they may not have much, other than I just don't like her. Okay, why don't you like her? And they may give you a few reasons. Now, if you're a supporter of hers, now you can counter those reasons, explain why you are a supporter, and hopefully, at the very least, tone down the rhetoric somewhat, so maybe they won't hate her quite so much, and maybe you can make a point or two to help further your cause. You're not going to get everybody. Okay? Not everybody watches American Idol or Dancing with the Stars. Yet, those shows are doing okay. They're doing all right. You're not going to get everybody. Get those people that you can. Sell your ideas. Sell your concepts. Get people actively involved. Because the problem that I had with what happened this past week with the debt ceiling argument was that the Tea Partiers, although they were very strong and principled in what they were believing, they were just a small part of our government. And in a representative form of government, everybody is supposed to be able to have their say. They were a small part of 1/2 of 1/3 of our government. Get out there, sell the ideas, so the next time a big bill like that comes up, they're not the minority. And then hold your people to that. Because all these politicians will come out here and they'll talk to you and they'll talk the good game. You know, I go back to the Bush administration. You know, oh yeah, I'm conservative. He spent more than a drunken sailor. And I apologize to any drunken sailors in the audience when I say that. You've got to go and hold them to it. But sell the ideas so that people understand. The Medicare issue. The Medicare issue. My God, if we cut Medicare, Grandma's going to eat dog food. Grandma, not being a big fan of dog food, freaks out. Tell her that, Grandma, you're not going to eat dog food. But if we don't change this, if we don't do something about Social Security and Medicare, then guess what? Your grandkids will be eating dog food because it's not going to last. Get away from the scare tactics. Sell the ideas with passion. Sell the ideas with, facts, and get more people on our side. That's how you're going to win. If you don't, all we're going to do is entrench the other side more firmly. Our side, the conservative side's going to be more firm. And all you're going to have are people fighting each other. I think we're a long ways away from becoming the Sunnis and the Shia. But that's the sort of thing that happens when you've got people that won't budge. That's the sort of thing that happens when you got people that won't listen to the other side. We've got to sell the ideas. They're good ideas. They're strong principles. It's what made this country great. Let's continue doing that. Let's continue moving forward. Let's look at what's happening now as not the end of the world, but the beginning. This country's been through a lot more tougher times than this. They've been through a lot worse things than this, and we're going to survive what's going on right now. Barack Obama is now, another year and 5 months, give or take, if people get involved and if they do the right thing. I appreciate you sitting in the sun here and listen to this. I also appreciate you when you are listen to my program. Do we have any questions or anything about what I've said here? We'll maybe do this like a quick call-in show real quick here, and then bring up the last speakers for the afternoon. Any questions, or anybody agree with me on what I'm saying? 3? A few? Because I do believe in this country. I'm getting a lot of people right now that are also negative. Oh, it's over. We're doomed. And we're not doomed. We can change this. We can fix this. We will fix this. It ain't great. We've got some serious concerns that need to be addressed. We need to get our spending under control. We need to get the budget balanced. We need to have as low of taxes as possible. You're never going to get rid of taxes entirely. I personally would love to see the fair tax. But that's not going to happen until more and more people understand what the fair tax is, and they sell the ideas of the fair tax. Because of the lobbyists and everybody entrenched in Washington, D.C., they don't want to see it. But if you sell the ideas, it'll work. I remember, and I'll leave on this. I remember being a kid back in the 60s, during the whole hippie revolution and all of that, and the Vietnam War protests. And I recall a bumper sticker that I saw a lot back in those days. When the people lead, the leaders will follow. That's very true. We got a grassroots effort here, a small but mighty crowd that'll be able to go and turn some things around, if you want to. If you can sell the ideas, and if you can do it in a way that is going to motivate other people and get other people going, so they'll continue to go and sell the ideas. Yeah.
Tom, you're a libertarian.
Yeah.
And so you do have an audience, mostly of conservatives, I believe, but you do have a bunch of progressives that listen to the show. How about having a show and say, where can we agree, so that we can actually talk about things that we have in common, so we could break that down. I agree that it's designed. The current system is designed to keep us from talking.
Well, no, you're right. And people don't want to agree. I said this the other day on the show. I had a guy calling in who was just, he identified himself as a Tea Partier, and he was going up against Ben Nelson for the health care bill. To which I asked him, I said, how do you feel knowing that Ben Nelson voted on your side with his debt bill? He didn't like that question. The other problem is doing a talk radio program, doing what I do, and we try to do this in many ways, but doing a talk radio program, no matter what like I say, I never have to get married, because no matter what I say, I get nitpicked. I could say it's a beautiful day and get an email from a guy who makes umbrellas for a living. You idiot. It's a lousy day. It's better when it rains. But I will try this. I will try that. We won't find a lot of stuff because you got to sort of focus the argument for talk radio. But maybe I could find a topic or two that I think we get people. Right now, I'll tell you one thing where the left and the right agree. They're tired of all incumbents. Right now, it doesn't matter, It doesn't matter. Yeah, the incumbents. Throw the bums out. I think this, November 12th is going to be a very interesting time in America. Right now, I'd say that'd be the one thing they're all agreeing. I think the average people, the people that I call the mad middle, are fed up with what's happening in Washington. They're fed up with as a matter of fact, if you read the argument, the report from Standard & Poor's today on downgrading our debt, our credit rating, one of the reasons that they gave was because of the toxicity in Washington, D.C. How they're not talking to each other, they're not working together. The analogy I make with this is that if somebody wants to borrow money from me, and I know they may not have the means to pay it back right away, but I know they're a good, decent, honest, respectful person, I'm more likely to loan it to them than that, a person that doesn't have the means who I can't trust. And right now, Standard & Poor's is saying what's happening in Washington, D.C., we don't like it.
Just so you know, I'm not talking about Washington, D.C. talking. I'm talking about Omaha. I have no hope that those people, and frankly, the less they do, the better. But I'm talking about here in Omaha, grassroots people from both sides. There are things that we can probably agree on, and
Husker football. No, you're right. There are things that we do agree on. I mean, there are things that we do agree on. Look, I came back to Omaha because I love this city. I think this area is the best area. I think it's got the best people. With all the problems we have, I love this place. And I think you're right. There are things here that we can agree on, especially now when it comes to the budget that's being discussed, and of course the firefighters contract that's up for discussion this past week. There's a great example right there. I'm very interested to see how many people show up on Tuesday on City Hall to talk about the budget and the firefighters contract, because I wonder how many people are just burned out on the whole argument by now. But there are things that we do agree on, and I will work on that to try to find more of a common ground. We won't get everybody, but again, you get who you can. They're showing me that I think that I'm out of time here. So I want to thank you all very much for being here today, dealing with the heat, and I hope you had having a good day here at Freedom Fest, and we'll see you on the radio. Thank you very much.